I'm on the range here with my buddy Ken Hackathorn today, and Ken, you know, when we got together before, we visited about you helping us do the testing and everything on the X9. Let's talk about some of the features of the X9 and get your feedback of what you think about them. You know, we got two different variations that we offer. We got one with a light rail and one without the light rail. Believe it or not, the one without the light rail has actually so far been the biggest seller. But we got several features here I want to get your opinion on. Okay. What do you think about the elimination of grip screws and anything to come loose?
You know, when we just first spoke about the details of the stocks and the grip, that's one of the things you mentioned. And let's face it, the grip screws, if you will, stock screws, on most everybody's 1911 is all boogered and twisted up. Well, and they work loose, and there's all kinds of problems. So this obviously was a long overdue. It makes life simpler, and quite honestly, you don't have to worry about the grip screw bushing, so you make the stocks thinner. Mm-hmm. So that's a home run.
What do you think about the X-Tac pattern? You know, where you got a wide, front strap like this, so you can get a lot of meat on the gun. How does that work for you?
Initially, when I first saw the X-Tac pattern, I'll be honest with you, Bill, I'm kind of an old guy, traditional checkering guy. So I looked at it like, After I got it, particularly with the increased circumference gripping-wise versus, say, a standard 1911, I'm sold on it because it gives you, one, it's not abrasive to your clothing or the seat covers in your vehicle or seat belts or anything, but the minute you acquire a firing grip, man, it grabs in. So I think it feature-wise, people say, well, I want the classic checkering. I go, you know what, this is a gun that's made to be used. It's a utility gun. It's not made to be anything but a gun you carry and use for self-defense. And it's every feature, particularly in the X-Tac, is absolutely a plus or maximum benefit. Even to the pattern on the slide for grasping grooves. Again, hands sweaty, cold, whatever, it works.
Yeah. Well, something else we got here that I know you and Larry, we just did a class over the weekend, and we're explaining the benefits to our students about when you seat a mag on a load, how much faster it is to just go ahead and drop the slide with your support hand thumb, as you go up like that, as opposed to the slingshot method that some people teach. What do you think about the slightly enlarged slide stop there?
Obviously, I think it's a plus. And the good news, it doesn't stick out to the point where it's shall we say, a burden. It's not a snag point. So you kind of got that wired real good. I had one acquaintance mention to me that because of the thickness of the slide or the thumb safety, it wouldn't fit in the IDPA box for the compact or the bug gun classification. I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm not sure if it fits in.
Well, anyway, I told him, I said, well, if that's all it's doing it, they got something called a belt sander out there. The bottom line, the control-wise, the gun, the magazine catch is absolutely, dimensionally to me, is ideal. Again, I prefer the gun with a larger backstrap. I can use it with a smaller. One of the things that early on in this, when we were yakking about this, I said, Bill, you got to make the trigger guard farther forward. You're going to make it larger because if you're wearing gloves, particularly if your 1911 has a long trigger, sometimes it's very difficult to get your finger in. And if you've got a lighter trigger pull, sometimes it can go bang before you're ready. So the trigger guard was enlarged forward. And I remember you were a little concerned about holster fit on it. Turns out it wasn't an issue.
Yeah. We went ahead and gave another 1/10 of an inch clearance inside the front of the trigger guard.
And since you can get this with small, medium, and large trigger, you can kind of make it fit your hand just specification-wise. I find that for most people, the regular small backstrap and a medium trigger works for most everybody.
Yeah, that's the way these are set up here. That's the way I prefer the gun set up. We touched on the last video when we talked about the X9 about how we shortened the frame rails there to have less bearing surface to enhance reliability, especially in cold weather and stuff like that. Well, something else that we did on these is we went ahead and removed the front two locking lugs. So now it locks up like a Glock or a SIG or, a lot of the modern pistols where basically the front of the barrel hood locks up directly into the front of the ejection port on the slide. And we found that had zero negative effect on accuracy or anything like that, durability, anything like that. But it had a dramatic effect on reliability when the gun's dirty and dry or cold. So what do you think about that?
Well, and obviously, when that first we discussed that and you told me what it had, I was like, well, this is going to be interesting. I think we've all suspicioned that the 9mm 1911, that the locking lugs are probably a little overdone. You could probably grind one off and it would have no effect. It's kind of pretty much proves. Now you got more barrel mass. Mm-hmm. And everybody said, what's the fluting for? Ken, why did Wilson flute the barrels? Well, for two reasons. Number one, for appearance.
Yeah.
But number two is if you drop this gun and get it in a lot of grit and mud or junk inside the gun, you've got places for that stuff to accumulate so the gun will still cycle without it impeding the function of the gun. So it does serve a bit of a functional purpose. My theory is clean your gun. But if you're one of those people that thinks you want to make this thing into a Glock, those will probably benefit you. But accuracy-wise, this hasn't hurt a thing. You guys have figured out how to do a bushing-less barrel to the point where, let's face it, accuracy, these things are superb. The other thing which I think a lot of people don't realize is that feed angle is critical. If you look at one, this one's been shot, if you look at when you insert a magazine into this pistol and you look at the feed angle of the bullet to the chamber, compared to traditional 1911, that bullet's almost headed straight in. If you look where it hits, it just hits about 1/8 of an inch below the mouth of the chamber, and it's into the gun.
There's no choice but to chamber.
So there again, from feeding reliability, in many ways it kind of looks like a Beretta 92. Yeah. So again, but between the fact that the barrel lockup, the feed angle of the magazine, and again, kind of looks like a Browning high power in the sense that all that metal in here doesn't really benefit. Your slide lockup and your slide fit is front and back the critical part. Actually, if you've got maximum fit here, you're just adding unneeded drag. So you take this feature, the feed angle, the way the barrel's designed, and then there's one other feature that most people don't grasp. Making a 9mm pistol reliable with a 1911 pattern, that extractor, because it's a small rim, that extractor has to completely encompass the rim to extract it from the chamber. But when that barrel drops down, think about it, when the barrel drops down, that cartridge rim now typically has less engagement. Just you can imagine like the two little fingers. Well, you design an extractor, and I know it took a lot of effort.
Oh, a lot of effort.
To get a maximum purchase on the case from extraction to including holding it to the ejection.
For the ejector to hit it.
And that's where you really crack the code. I mean, that's what most people don't get. And you combine all that up, or put it all together, what you ended up with is a pistol that is incredibly reliable. In my opinion, probably one of the single most reliable handguns I've ever fired. By the time I got the gun back to you, I had almost 10,000 rounds. And on 3 malfunction, they were all ammo related. That, in my opinion, is real impressive.
Well, how did the final production gun that we sent to replace that test gun, how's it ran for you?
Never had a bobble. Everybody loves it. Everybody says, I'd love to have the gun. It just costs more than I would like to pay. And I go, well, you know, you either wear a Timex or Rolex. That's your choice.
Yeah. Well, appreciate it, Ken. And again, thanks for all the testing you did for us on this.
Good job, bud.
Thank you.